Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Professor Dr. Fakhr-ul-Islam from Pakistan Study Center, University of Peshawar. My today's presentation is on Part 3 of 1973 Constitution. The 1973 Constitution of Pakistan is comprised of 12 parts. Some parts are very big in size and they are further divided into more than one chapters. And some parts are smaller in size, which comprise only of one chapter each. As far as this Part 3 of the 1973 Constitution is concerned, it is spread over 60 articles, which means that it is one of the larger and lengthiest parts of the 1973 Constitution. It is further divided into 3 chapters. Chapter number 1 has a title of President. This is a chapter where qualification, powers and functions, elections, etc. of the President of Pakistan are given. This chapter is from Article 41 to 49. The second chapter is about Majlis-e-Shura or Parliament of Pakistan. It is from Article 50 to Article 89. The third chapter is from Article 90 and it ends up at Article 100, and the title of this third chapter is Federal Government. Now we are going to discuss these chapters one by one. As far as the President of Pakistan is concerned, as I mentioned, he is described in chapter 1 of part 3, and that is from article 41 to 49. First of all, in this chapter, the qualification of the President are given. There are 2 important qualifications for the President of Pakistan under the 1973 Constitution. The first one is that he must be a Muslim by faith. And the second is that he will be of at least 45 years of age. I mean, if he is lesser than 45 age, he will not be qualified to contest election for the post of the President. President of Pakistan under the 1973 Constitution is elected by an electoral college consisting of 2 houses of the Parliament and 4 provincial assemblies of the federating units or provinces of Pakistan. A detailed procedure of the election of the President has been given in Schedule 2 of the Constitution. That schedule gives us advertisement for the post of the President, and then election schedule, and then appointment of presiding officers, etc. But the most interesting thing in that schedule is that the number of provincial assembly members have been brought at par with the number of smallest province in terms of population, that is Balochistan. Let me explain this point again. The four provincial assemblies of Pakistan are such that Balochistan assembly has a strength of 65. The number of members in KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa assembly is 155. The number of members in Sindh assembly is 168, and the number of members in the Punjab assembly is 371. Now, if all these members are given a chance to vote for the President of Pakistan, then naturally Punjab will have an edge over other provinces. Since we are living in a federation, therefore a very beautiful formula has been devised, and that is given in Schedule 2 of the Constitution. Actually, the 371 members of Punjab Assembly will be counted as only 65. That is equal to the Punjab Assembly, the Balochistan Assembly members, sorry. Similarly, 155 members of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Assembly will be considered as only 65. And again, the 168 members of Sindh Assembly will be considered as only 65, that is the number of Balochistan Assembly members. How is it calculated? I'll give you two examples. For example, if a candidate for the post of the president has secured 100 votes in Punjab Assembly, so what would be the actual weightage of those votes? There is a formula, that is that 100 votes secured in the Punjab Assembly will be multiplied with 65 members of Balochistan Assembly, and then it will be divided by the total number of Punjab Assembly. So if we put in the values of these things, so 100 multiplied by 65 divided by 371, so the answer is 17.5. Interestingly, if a candidate has secured 100 votes in the Punjab Assembly, it will be counted, the figure will be counted as only 17.5. Why is this formula devised? It has been devised so that all the federating units are treated equally. So I would say that one of the beautiful things in the 1973 Constitution, which ensures equality of the federating units, is this one, which has been given in Schedule 2 for the election of the President of Pakistan. Another important qualification for the President is that he must possess all those qualities and qualifications which are necessary for a person to become member of the National Assembly. Now, how can a person become member of the National Assembly if his name is registered in any constituency of the National Assembly? He is a Pakistani citizen, he is of sound mind, and he has not been declared by any court of law, not been punished, and similarly he fulfills the requirements of Article 62 and 63. When the election process is completed, the President of Pakistan shall make before the Chief Justice of Pakistan oath, which is given in 3rd Schedule of the Constitution. All oaths, including that of the President of Pakistan, are given in Schedule 3 of the 1973 Constitution. Then traditionally, the president has a role which can be divided into three main areas. First one is that his judicial powers. In judicial powers, the first and foremost thing is that he appoints judges, but nowadays, after the 18th Amendment, the appointment of judges has a very lengthy procedure. The names are finalized by the Judicial Commission and Parliamentary Committee, but finally approval is given by the President. Similarly, the most important judicial power of the President is that he shall have the power to grant pardon, reprieve and respite, and to remit, suspend or commute any sentence passed by any court, tribunal or other authority. It means that the President of Pakistan can pardon a person if he is convicted by any court of law, or he can change the nature of the punishment. For example, if a person has been sentenced to death, the President has the power to change it into life imprisonment and so on. The second important area where the President of Pakistan has a role is his legislative powers. The President has the power to summon, prorogue sessions of National Assembly and Senate separately, or he can even summon a joint session of both the houses. Similarly, President of Pakistan has a constitutional right to address the joint sitting of the Parliament on the eve of new parliamentary year. This is a very good tradition, a parliamentary tradition all over the world. And this tradition came from Britain, where the Queen or the King addresses the British Parliament, and similarly in America it is called a State of the Union address by the President of the United States of America. In this speech, the President of Pakistan specifies and points out things to do by the government in power. He gives piece of advice to the opposition, to the treasury benches, and it's not only a speech to be listened to, but after the speech, a general debate starts on the speech of the President. And you know, the parliamentary debates give birth to some important laws or some important discussions. And since Parliament is the collective wisdom of a nation, therefore, if a general debate is initiated, it definitely gives you some tangible and positive results. The President also has some executive powers as well, although in the parliamentary system, powers are normally exercised by the Prime Minister, but still there are some powers which the President of Pakistan exercises. For example, although the most important appointments in the government are recommended by or finalized by the Prime Minister, but final authority is the President to sign them. So some symbolic executive powers are also given to the President of Pakistan. President will remain President of the country. I mean, his term of office will remain 5 years unless he tenders his resignation or any other thing happens. So in that case, then it will be seen that first of all, if a president of Pakistan is not in a position to hold his office, the chairman of Senate shall act as acting president, and then if the president has resigned or he has, God forbid, died, then the election commission shall hold fresh elections for that important post. There is the final thing in the presidential chapter is that there is a procedure for the removal and impeachment of the president under the 1973 Constitution. The president of Pakistan can be removed on the ground of physical or mental incapacity, or he may be impeached on charge of violating the Constitution or gross misconduct. I mean, there is a slight difference between removal and impeachment. Impeachment is basically accountability of the president. This process will be initiated if the president of Pakistan has violated the Constitution or he has committed an act of gross misconduct. And as I said, the removal will be because of his physical or mental incapacity. When any of these cases are to be implemented, I mean, if you want to remove the president or you want to impeach him, so the first and foremost requirement is that 1/2 of the total membership of either house, I mean either Senate or National Assembly, 1/2 of the members will give to the Speaker of the National Assembly a notice of their intention that they want to move a resolution of removal or impeachment of the president. So when this notice is received by the office, then it will be a copy of this will be submitted or transmitted to the President of Pakistan, and he will be given a chance definitely to defend himself. Then a joint session of the Parliament will be convened, and a discussion will be started there. President of Pakistan will defend himself either personally or he will be represented by some other person. And in this way, when all the procedures are completed, then voting shall take place, and if majority of the members support the resolution of removal or impeachment, the president shall cease to hold office, and then a new president will be elected by the Election Commission of Pakistan. So this is all about chapter number 1 of part 3. Chapter number 2 is about Majlis-e Shura of Pakistan. First of all, this term Majlis-e Shura was given to the Parliament in 1985. I mean, from 1973 to 1985, we used to call the Parliament of Pakistan as the Parliament, but in 1985, under the 8th Amendment, its name was changed. And it happens all over the world that you will see that different countries have different names for their parliaments. America calls its parliament as Congress. Similarly, Pakistan has given the name Majlis-e Shura. In Britain, it is Parliament, jointly called Parliament, but then there are different names for the lower house and the upper house. So, since this term is not, so much popular, therefore, in the Constitution it is written as Majlis Shura, and in front of that, in brackets, you write Parliament. Under the 1973 Constitution, we have a bicameral legislature consisting of lower house, that is National Assembly, and upper house, that is Senate. The seats in the National Assembly referred to here are such that Balochistan has 16 general seats and 4 women seats, so they have 20 numbered. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has 61 members in the National Assembly. Punjab has 173 members, and Sindh has 75 members in the National Assembly. So general seats in the National Assembly are 272, and 60 are for women, those are reserved, and 10 number of members for the non-Muslim. So the total strength of the National Assembly comes to 342. Needless to say that the National Assembly has a speaker and a deputy speaker who are controlling authorities. The National Assembly is run according to rules and regulation, which is called as Rules of Business and Conduct of the National Assembly. The National Assembly in a parliamentary system has vast powers. For example, the whole administration is accountable to the National Assembly. Parliamentary system is defined as a system in which the whole administration is accountable or answerable to the National Assembly or Parliament on the whole. It has financial powers, it has legislative powers, it has the power of imposition of taxes. I mean, there is a vast canvas of powers of the National Assembly. In some respects, it has more powers than the Senate, although it is a lower house, but in terms of its powers, it has more powers than the Senate, especially in terms of money bills, etc. The National Assembly shall, unless sooner dissolved, shall continue for a term of 5 years from the day of its first meeting, and shall stand dissolved at the expiration of its term. Expiry of its term has one natural reason, that if it completes 5 years, so it will automatically comes to an end. In the past, the President of Pakistan had some powers, especially in terms of dissolution of the National Assembly. But now that powers does not exist. Nowadays, only if the leader of the house, that is Prime Minister of Pakistan, if he recommends to the President, advises him that the Assembly cannot be run in accordance with the Constitution, so then it can be dissolved. Otherwise, no person can dissolve the National Assembly in his own discretion. The most important procedure which is adopted in the National Assembly is legislative procedure, that how a law is enacted or framed in the Constitution. So that has been given in Article 73 of the Constitution under the title of legislative procedure. The procedure is very simple, that if the members want to enact a law, first of all, it will be initiated or originated in any house of the parliament. Let's suppose that a bill has been presented to the National Assembly. If that is passed with simple majority, it will be transmitted to the Senate, and if Senate also passes it with simple majority, it will be transmitted to the President for his assent or signature, and it will become law of the land. This is a very routine example which I explain in terms of legislative procedure, but sometimes some problems can also occur. So that's a lengthy discussion, but simply if it is a routine business, then this is the way that a bill passed in the house in which it was originated will be transmitted to the other house. The other house also passes it. It will go to the President for his assent or signature. So this is all about chapter 2 of part 3. Now we come to the last chapter, and that is called as the federal government under the 1973 Constitution. Article 90 has given a detail of the federal government. It says that subject to Constitution, the executive authority of the Federation shall exercise in the name of the President by the federal government, consisting of the Prime Minister, the federal ministers, which shall through the Prime Minister, which shall act through the Prime Minister, who shall be the chief executive of the Federation. I mean, the federal government consists of the Prime Minister and the federal minister, and they will act through the Prime Minister. And in this system, the Prime Minister is actually the chief executive of the country. In exercise in the performance of his functions under the Constitution, the Prime Minister may act either directly or through the federal ministers. As far as the cabinet is concerned, there shall be a cabinet of ministers with the Prime Minister as its head. Normally we say that there will be a team which has a captain. So to avoid, to aid and advise the President in exercise of his function. This is basically the basic function of the cabinet headed by the Prime Minister, to aid and advise the President in exercise of his function. Similarly, the cabinet has a principle which has come from the Westminster, or you may say from the Great Britain, that the cabinet together with the Minister of State shall be collectively responsible to the Senate and the National Assembly. Collective responsibility. I mean, there is no individual concept of responsibility in the cabinet. I mean, they will be collectively responsible to houses of the parliament. The Prime Minister shall hold the office during the pleasure of the President, but the President shall not exercise his powers under this clause unless he is satisfied that the Prime Minister does not command the confidence of the majority of the members of National Assembly. I mean, once the Prime Minister is elected, he will remain as Prime Minister for a full term or till he wants to remain the Prime Minister. The President cannot remove him. But if a situation arises that the President comes to the conclusion that the sitting Prime Minister does not command the confidence of the majority of the members of the National Assembly, so in that case, the President of Pakistan will ask the Prime Minister to obtain a fresh vote of confidence from the Assembly, and if he fails to get that, then the President of Pakistan will remove him from the office of the Prime Minister. In the cabinet, besides the full-fledged ministers, there are Minister of States. Article 92 of the Constitution tells us that President shall appoint federal ministers and ministers of states from amongst the members of Majlis Shura on the advice of the Prime Minister. But there is a proviso or conditionality that provided that the number of federal ministers and ministers of state who are members of the Senate shall not at any time exceed 1/4 of the number of the federal ministers. This is a proviso. One may ask a question that what is the difference between the federal minister and minister of state? Actually, it is very clear in India where they call it, they call minister and then they have a deputy minister. But here in Pakistan, we have minister of state. Minister is basically the actual in charge of a department or of a division, and minister of state assists him. So if a department has a federal minister and minister of state, then the functions, the business is divided amongst them, but actual in charge is the federal minister. Apart from Minister of States, there are also advisors. The President, on the advice of the Prime Minister, will appoint advisors, but they will not be more than 5. So this is a brief, structure of the federal government under the 1973 Constitution. That the Prime Minister, the Cabinet of Ministers, as far as the executive powers of the federal government are concerned, in the parliamentary system they have extensive executive powers. Unless there is any constitutional bar, the cabinet can do anything in Pakistan. Just to give an example, that nothing can be sent to the parliament for lawmaking unless it is passed by the cabinet. No budget can be presented in the parliament or in the National Assembly or other houses unless it is approved by the cabinet. So many other things are also decided during the meetings of the cabinet. One important thing which is given in Article 100 of this part, which is the last article, that there shall be an Attorney General for Pakistan who will be appointed by the President, and he will be qualified to be appointed as Judge of the Supreme Court or to be Attorney General for Pakistan. The Attorney General shall hold office during the pleasure of the President, and he will be a law officer of Pakistan who will participate in the proceedings of the Parliament, and he will look into the legal cases which are before the Parliament for consideration. So this is all about part 3. As I said in the beginning, it's one of the lengthiest part, and during this discussion we discussed the chapter 1 about President, chapter 2 about Majlis Shura, chapter 3 about federal government. If the listeners, the ladies and gentlemen, are interested in knowing more about this part, they can refer to the original text of the Constitution for detailed study. For further readings, my book on constitutional development in Pakistan can also be consulted, which was published in 2018. With this, I come to the end of this discussion. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Allah Hafiz.